What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Wow. Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum made it work, and it's official. Vasily Lomachenko will be fighting Jorge Linares on ESPN on May 12th. And I got to tell you, man, this is a time that I was dead wrong, that I'm happy about being dead wrong. This is very, very good news. Very good news is good news on a lot of different levels. The first of which, but first, before I do that, we're definitely going to have a live stream later about this subject. The best way to know that they're coming up, because I do them intermittently, I don't plan out the live streams before they happen, or the time of the live stream, is the best way to know about them and to have a real-time discussion about this is to hit the subscribe button and then the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you get notified of when they are. Also, follow me on Twitter, and so you can get copies of the articles that I talk about in the videos. So, let's get to it. There's a couple things, man, that just really came to play, and I'm going to kind of combine. I'm going to lay out the facts, and I'm going to combine them into an argument or my viewpoint on it. Basically, this is about the 135-pound division. Vasily Lomachenko is now officially moved up to 100. Well, he's now going to move up to 135 pounds. And surprisingly, and I'm happy to have been wrong, he's going to fight for the WBA belt instead of the WBO belt with Ray Beltran. Now, I know that Vasily Lomachenko himself had been saying that he wants to fight Jorge Linares, and after that, he wants to fight Mikey Garcia. But I didn't believe that Bob Arum was going to let that happen. But once, like I said, and then on top of it, this is the same day, May 12th is the same day as HBO would be televising the replay of the Gennady Golovkin-Canelo Alvarez fight. So I just thought pretty much everything was going against having that fight happen, but it's happening. So that is a great thing on several levels. One, Vasily Lomachenko is going to get an opportunity to really back up what a lot of people have been saying about him, and that him being the top, number one, top five, whatever, pound for pound guy, because now he's moving into the 135 weight division. And this will be the first time that he's fighting for a belt that's not a WBO belt. It's not an in-house fight. It's against a guy that's a champion in the weight division. And he's going to be going to take the belt from somebody that a lot of people consider as one of the best fighters in the division. Now, I don't think that he's the top guy in the division. That I think because, Jorge Linares has lost 2 times by knockout. But, he definitely is somebody that's shown and proved, that he's a top quality guy over the last several years since he overcame the hurdles he had earlier in his career. So this is going to be an opportunity for Vasily Lomachenko to, number one, also to fight a guy that has something to lose. Because Jorge Linares has a lot of money that's available to him for a Mikey Garcia fight and a Vasily Lomachenko fight, and it's going to be an opportunity for Jorge Linares to set himself apart and really make a name for himself in boxing. So it's not a situation where he's fighting somebody that's like the last 2 fights where you have somebody that's been in Guillermo Rigondeaux that was a massive underdog coming in or a significant underdog coming in. Because he's never been at that weight division before. He's moving up 2 weight classes. He only had 1 fight in 2 years, right? It was a style matchup that a lot of people didn't think was good because Vasily Lomachenko is very, very active and Guillermo Rigondeaux picks and chooses his spots. So stylistically, you have a guy in Jorge Linares that has fast hands, that throws a lot of punches, and that is going to come to win. And if Vasily Lomachenko is able to do that and win this fight, it'll go a long way to, increasing the validity of the claims that a lot of people make about Vasily Lomachenko. So my hats are off to the people that made this fight. Because honestly, I thought that everything was lined up against this fight happening, in at least the way that my logic worked. And like I said, I'm more than happy to have been wrong and happy to be wrong about that, because that makes another exciting night for boxing in May. And like I've been saying on a lot of my videos this year, in related to different subjects like uh um Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, or Errol Spence Jr. versus Keith Thurman, that unification of championships, and the best, pretty much the best fight and the best, is what we're looking for. So it's another quality championship bout. It's not a scenario where it's an in-house fight where um Vasyl Lomachenko moves and he winds up going straight to Ray Beltran in a fight that I pretty much thought was going to be uncompetitive. And then we can start talking about unification. Also, it makes a scenario with this fight happening that Mikey Garcia is going to have to choose whether he's going to stay 140, and if he keeps his word, or he stays true to what he said he wanted to happen, that if he moves down to 135, he wants to unify. That means that there's only two more guys there's only two guys that Mikey Garcia can unify with. He can unify with Ray Beltran, or he can unify with Robert Easter Jr. So now, if Mikey Garcia wants to stay active, right? If he wants to stay active, then, and so he said that he's in good shape. He said he could fight as early as May or June. Right, you had Robert Easter, who fought, I believe Robert Easter fought in January, right? Robert Easter should be available for that fight. So hopefully we can get two really good fights around that time in the May time frame. In Jorge Linares versus Vasily Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter. There's also, of course, the opportunity for Mikey Garcia to fight Ray Beltran, right? But I think that if Mikey Garcia took that fight, then that would be a much more questionable decision for him to take Ray Beltran. And it would be real suspicious if he can negotiate a deal with Bob Arum and Ray Beltran for the WBO, and not take Robert Easter Jr. So not only does this bode well for Vasily Lomachenko, and getting a definitive answer about whether or not he's one of the top guys, this really deserves what people are saying about him having been Fighter of the Year. Because last year, I don't think he deserved Fighter of the Year. But if he wants to get Fighter of the Year this year, a first fight against Jorge Linares to start the year off for the WBA championship, if he's able to do that, that's a good step towards that. And honestly, man, as critical as I've been about the fans of Vasyl Lomachenko, I've always been very careful to say that I believe that the fighter Vasyl Lomachenko is an excellent, excellent fighter. Jorge Linares, same thing. Hats off to Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares looked good against Luke Campbell. He beat can't remember who the last guy, and then the last guy he fought, I thought was it Gesto that he fought? I don't have it in front of me, so correct me in the comment section if you like. He had two good fights, not overwhelming competition. But to have him step up there and he said that he wanted to fight against Vasyl Lomachenko, it would gives Jorge Linares an opportunity, to live up to the praise that he's been getting from a lot of circles in boxing. Because personally, of all the 135-pound champions, I had Jorge Linares, as the number 3 champion. Some people would say that other than Mikey Garcia, he's the top 135-pound champion. I don't believe it, because the only two undefeated champions at 135 are Robert Easter and Mikey Garcia. And so I would put Robert Easter ahead of him, regardless of whether or not he had difficulties with some very, very tough fighters. Because Richard Comey is not an easy out. Denis Shavakov's not an easy out, and he's a southpaw, a difficult southpaw, as is Javier Fortuna. So those are all tough outs for him. But it gives Jorge Linares a chance to stand out as well. Now, the thing is now that this is not going to be on HBO. It's going to be on ESPN. So it's real interesting to see, man, how this is also going to interplay with the other top rank Golden Boy issue that is going around, and that is the Manny Pacquiao versus Lucas Matisse bout. As we know, Manny Pacquiao announced earlier this week, might have been about 5 days ago now. So it was like, I guess it was last week, Saturday, either Friday last week or Saturday of this week. Uh, Manny Pacquiao announced that he was going to be uh, doing a deal, co-promoting a fight in Malaysia between himself and Oscar De La Hoya and Oscar and Golden Boy Promotions, and the fight was going to be between him and Lucas Matisse for the WBA regular title. After that, Bob Arum said that wasn't true. That number one, the people in Malaysia need to show the money, and that he disputed Manny Pacquiao's assertion that Manny Pacquiao was a free agent promotionally. So that drew into question whether or not that fight could happen. However, Manny Pacquiao then begins his training camp and is saying, that Golden Boy and Manny Pacquiao are now going to, they're planning a press conference. Now, the first thing that I thought when I heard about that was, man, Manny Pacquiao is really tied between two snakes. You got Bob Arum, who was, reputation precedes him in in his funny business, his blatant dishonesty, right? Yesterday I was lying. I mean, this was an actual quote from him. Yesterday I was lying. Today I'm telling the truth, Bob Arum. And and Oscar De La Hoya, who, talks out of both sides of his neck on a constant basis. But, is not the most stand-up guy in the world. I don't, as much as I dislike Golden Boy, but most of the things that I don't like about Golden Boy have to do with the cards being mismatches, kind of some of the funny decisions that happen on those cards, and just watching the whole card and knowing pretty much what's going to happen the whole way through, right? Also, obviously, the way that he dealt with Floyd Mayweather Jr., the issues with the lawsuits between he and Premier Boxing Champions, the emails that had come out that still haven't been answered, all of those type of issues around Oscar De La Hoya. So, and the fact that Oscar De La Hoya had never said anything, and he actually had not confirmed that Lucas Matisse was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. So when Manny Pacquiao said that, I thought to myself, man, he's really kind of in between, a real big snake and a medium-sized snake, right? So, and Bob Arum is insisting that fight's not happening, and I'm thinking, how many different ways are there for Bob Arum to stop that fight, right? There's the usual ways, which is in the United States, to sue Manny Pacquiao, get a temporary injunction, right, until the court can hear the arguments on both sides and determine whether or not Manny Pacquiao's under contract with Bob Arum and the fight's able to continue, right? That's one way he could go about it. Or would he go about it where he would sue Golden Boy in the United States and say the Golden Boy was interfering with somebody that was under contract with him, right? With Top Rank, and therefore force Lucas Matisse and Golden Boy to pull out of any type of cooperation with Manny Pacquiao and Manny Pacquiao Promotions. But now you have this where where Top Rank is doing business with Golden Boy Promotions, right? With Vasily Lomachenko and Jorge Linares, and Jorge Linares is a bigger fish. Is probably the number two fighter for Golden Boy from what currently. I mean, I believe that eventually it'll probably be Ryan Garcia is somebody that they're pulling up, but underneath Canelo Alvarez, their number one guy is Jorge Linares, while Lucas Matisse or Matisse, depending on how you pronounce that, is not one of their top guys. So now I'm wondering, okay, we're going to see in the next couple of weeks whether or not Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya are going to use this as a means by which to double cross Manny Pacquiao and keep Manny Pacquiao from being able to fight Lucas Matisse or Lucas Matisse. So, man, it's like with all things promoters, it's a whole, it's it's a ton of drama, it's a ton of intrigue. And that's one of the things I gotta admit that I really do enjoy about boxing is the business aspect of it, the contractual aspect of it, the competitive, the competition that takes place between promoters. But in this case, these are from what I can see, two organizations who are on shaky footing, partnering up together, and where the partnership is actually going to wind up in a terrific fight between Vasily Lomachenko and Jorge Linares. So, all's well, I guess, if you get what you want to see. Thankfully it's not on Showtime, HBO, so I don't have to turn in and, I don't want to support HBO. The way that HBO treats their fighters, the way that they, refuse to, support, and put American fighters, give them their due. I don't think it's necessarily that they focus solely on American fighters, because boxing is, without a doubt, a global sport, and I'm all good with that, man. I like Lucas Matisse. I like Jorge Linares, and I like Vasily Lomachenko, but I'm really glad that it's not HBO, and it's going to be on ESPN. So that's another chance for people to see, see good boxing. I'm also interested to see how this is going to affect the how this is going to be promoted compared to the Jeff Horn fight with Terrence Crawford. And this will tell me what Bob Arum really does think about Terrence Crawford as well. So, all in all, that's all good, man. In the summary, I think all of this stuff is going to kind of come into play to make a better 2018. It definitely makes May 12th a better day in boxing, because of course the major fight between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, which I believe should have been scrapped on principle because Canelo Alvarez tested positive for Clenbuterol, right? We all know that fight's not going to stop. It's going to go through, so that's going to be on. But then that next weekend, I'm not sure what the PBC is going to have that weekend, but this ESPN fight, and it's going to be early in the evening, by the way, because it's going to start at around, I think it's going to start at 7 o'clock. The card starts at 7 o'clock Central Time. So the whole card should be over. I guess, that would mean that Lomachenko and Linares would probably come on around 9 o'clock, I would suppose, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central. So that would be that's a good thing. Lomachenko, the path forward for Lomachenko after that is more than likely going to be Ray Beltran, right? If he gets past Jorge Linares. Because there ain't no guarantee he's going to get past Jorge Linares. And that's the thing I like. I on this one, I don't even think it's fair for me just to say, look towards Vasily Lomachenko's next fight. He's going to be actually fighting a guy, and I probably should have looked this up here ahead of time, but he's going to be fighting a guy, I believe, that's got a size advantage on him. Let me just check it. Sorry that I do this in the middle of the video, but only people with long attention spans make it make it this deep into the video, so I think I'm safe to do it. I think Jorge Linares is the bigger fighter. I think at 5, what is he, about 5? Is he 5'6", 5'7"? I think he might be 5'6", 5'7". Oh, he's 5'8". So you got a guy that's 5'8", 69-inch reach, 44-3, but he hasn't lost. He got knocked out twice. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been TKO'd 3 times. Yeah, but still, man, I'm going to get a dude credit. I give Lomachenko credit for doing it, man. Whatever. I'll take it. I just want to have a good fight. Versus a 5'7" dude. They're both roughly the same age, with Lomachenko's 30, Jorge Linares is 32. So, man, look, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? I'll take it. I'll take it. So we'll see what's going on. Hopefully this pushes hopefully this will push Mikey Garcia to Robert Easter. And then you have Jorge Linares and the winner of Jorge Linares versus Vasyl Lomachenko fight the winner of those. More than likely that winner would fight Ray Beltran. But at the end of the day, man, I'd like to see unification. And I'm all good with this fight happening. With that, I'm out. Peace.